So class, today we're going to look at lesson number 8 for units for area and volume. Last lesson we looked at review of area. Today I want to go back a little bit further to when we looked at the units and unit conversions. And we're going to do this for looking at especially the units that define area as well as units of volume. So starting with area. So if we have a square that's 1 inch by 1 inch, our area is going to be our base, or our length, times our width. So 1 inch times 1 inch. That's going to give us 1 inch squared. You can write it either way. So we got an area of 1 inch squared, and let's say we want to convert this from imperial, which is inch, to metric, being centimeters. So we have the conversion that 1 inch is going to be 2.54 centimeters. So now we're converting 1 inch squared. So we have the unit inch twice. So when we convert it, we want to convert it twice. So the conversions we're going to do is, or the method that we're going to do for conversion is, I'm just going to replace this inch with 2.54 centimeters because it's 1 inch, which is 2.54 centimeters. So I'm just going to do a direct replacement where I take that inch out and I'm going to replace it with 2.54 centimeters. So I have 1 times 2.54 centimeters multiplied by 2.54 centimeters because I'm converting both units. If I only convert one unit, I'll have a unit inch centimeters, which isn't helpful for anybody. So that's going to give me a final answer of 6.45 centimeters squared. So I went from inches squared to centimeters squared by converting both of my inches. Okay, so I have some practice problems for you to do. These are the same problems that are going to be on the assignment. So try these problems before we go further, just so you can practice this type of conversion. Because now we're going to get into converting into a unit that is specially for area. So these units are going to be an acre, which is imperial, or a hectare, which is going to be metric. So these units are only used to measure an area. They don't make sense to use them for a length because 1 acre is 4,840 yards squared. So the conversion already has the unit squared in there. Whereas up here, when we went from inches to centimeters, 1 inch is just 2.54 centimeters, not centimeters squared. So when we do the conversion, instead of having to convert for both of my units, I'm doing directly converting from a unit squared to just 1 unit, but that 1 unit is defined for area. Just like with 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared. All right, so the unit hectare and acre, again, only used for measuring area. You don't want to use them for volume or length, like how long is a piece of paper. It doesn't make sense. It has to be, what's the area of this piece of paper? Okay, so let's go into an example of how to use these. So let's say you have a 7-hectare farm and you want to know how many acres you have. Well, you could bring your phone up and Google it, but let's say you have no internet connection, you have no phones, and you don't know the direct conversion from hectares to acres. But you do know, because everybody memorizes this, that 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared, that 1 meter is 1.9 or 1.09 yards, because everybody knows that one, easy, and 1 acre is 400 or 4,840 yards squared. So we can't just go straight from hectare to acre because we don't have that conversion, but we can go from hectare to meter squared, from meter squared to yard squared, and then from yard squared to acre squared. So let's do this. It's going to be a bit of a longer problem, but I think we can do it. So we have 1 hectare, and we know that 1 hectare, or we have 7 hectares, but we know that 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared. So we're going to replace the hectare, HA, with 10,000 meters squared. So this is going to give us 70,000 meters squared. So now we want to go from meters squared to yards squared. So we're going to break this down to 70,000 meters times meters. And we're going to replace each of these meters with 1.09 yards. So now I have 70,000 times 1.09 times 1.09. And I just realized on this image, it looks like those dots or the decimal places didn't really come through. So I'll just fill them in here. So you can feel free to, when you look at the notes, fill them in as well. I don't know why they didn't come through there. Okay, so this is going to give us a total area of 83,720 yards squared. So now we've successfully converted from hectometers to meters squared to yards squared. And I don't know why it does this. It drives me crazy. Every time I move the screen, the dots don't go with the PDF, which I guess makes sense. They wouldn't do that, but I wish they did. Okay, so now it gets a bit trickier because what we've been doing in the past is we've been just saying, okay, if we have the unit hectare, we know that 1 hectare equals 10,000 meters. So we're just going to replace the hectare with 10,000. But here, we don't know how many acres 1 yard squared is. So we can't just replace 1 yard squared with anything. So let's figure that out. So we have the equation that 1 hectare, or sorry, my bad, 1 acre equals 4,840 yards squared. But we want to get yard squared by itself, so it's just 1 yard squared. So to do that, we want to divide by the same number that we have on top. So we're going to divide by 4,840. Because when we divide a number by itself, it always equals 1. So now on the left side of our equation, we're going to have 1 yard squared. But because we divided on one side, we have to divide on the other side as well. So we're going to do our 1 acre divided by 4,840. So this is going to give us 1 divided by 4,840 acres equals 1 yard squared. So now that we have the 1 yard squared, we can replace yard squared with 1 divided by 4,840 acres. So now we're going to have 83,720 divided by 4,840, and then we're going to have our unit acres. This gives us a grand total of 17.3 acres. So you could work out the conversion from acres to hectares, and you could say that as a conversion. But if you don't have that, this is another way around it. So I wanted to do the longer example just to show you different ways of converting between units. Okay, so there is one problem for you to do on this section, problem 1B on page 101 in your workbook. So go ahead and give that a try now. Pause the video. And it's too bad my comment section isn't open. I feel like I could get you to answer the questions there, be like a proper YouTuber. Okay, so moving on to volume. So in Wednesday's class, we looked at the volume of a cube or a box. So here I spent as much energy as I possibly could to draw the perfect cube. I think it looks pretty good. It's a little, the back lines are a little off, but that's okay. So I'm going to say that this cube has a height of 1 centimeter, a length of 1 centimeter, and a width of 1 centimeter. I think I even measured it as well. So the volume of this cube, which is our height times our length times our width, we can change the order around. So it could be like our width times our length times our height. It doesn't make a difference. Is going to be 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter. Now we're still going to have, oh, excuse me, a volume of 1. Well, I guess just we're going to have a volume of 1, but our unit is going to be centimeters cubed. That is because we're multiplying 3 lengths together. And because it's volume, we're working with 3D space, it takes up 3 dimensions. So our unit has to be to the power of 3 to get all 3 dimensions. So with volume, we normally measure things with milliliters and liters. So this is a metric unit where we have milliliters and liters to measure the volume of something. You're probably familiar with these units if you've done any baking, because if you have like flour, water, generally it would be like 1 cup, which is 250 milliliters, or they'll be more specific and they'll tell you how many milliliters they want you to add to the recipe, and that's going to be a volume unit. It wouldn't make sense to be like, oh, add 1 centimeter squared of flour, because it's not possible yet to have just an area in 3-dimensional space. It would always have to have some depth to it. Okay, so we have conversions here for you. So 1 milliliter is going to be equal to 1 centimeter cubed, and 1 liter is going to be equal to 1,000 milliliters, which is going to be 1,000 centimeters cubed. So the square I drew up here, the cube I drew up here is going to have a volume of 1 milliliter. So let's go through an example. So let's say you have a 500 liter cube tank and you're going to fill it with gas or water, whatever you fill a tank with, where each side is the same length. And the problem is, we want to figure out how high is this tank? How tall is this tank? In meters. So there's a bit of math in here that I won't ask you to do, but I'll do for you just for this question. But if we want to figure out how tall the tank is in meters, we're going to want to convert from liters to centimeters so we can go from centimeters to meters. So let's say, again, you don't have any Wi-Fi, you don't have any internet. You have to just do this with the equations you have in front of you. So we have 500 liters is going to equal 500 times 1,000 centimeters cubed. I'm doing this by taking the 1 liter and replacing it with the 1,000 centimeters cubed. So this is going to give me 500,000 centimeters cubed. It's going to be my total volume of this tank. So that is going to equal the height times the length times the width. Now, if all sides are the same, I can say that's going to be the height times the height times the height, or the height cubed. Now, to find the height, what we have to do is we have to take the cubic root of our volume. So the cubic root comes out to being 79.4 centimeters. So by taking that cubic root, you're actually taking the cubic root of your centimeters as well, your centimeters cubed, so that 3, that cubed, goes away, and we're left with just the unit centimeter. So now, lastly, we want our unit to be in meters. So let's convert from centimeters to meters. And again, just like when we tried to do yards squared to acres, we don't have an equation where it's 1 centimeter equals so many meters. So let's create one. So just like we did before, we're going to divide the 100 centimeters by 100 to make it 1 centimeter. And because we do it on the centimeter side, we have to do it on the meter side. So we get 1 divided by 100 meters equals 1 centimeter. So now we can plug in that 1 divided by 100 meters into the 1 centimeter, giving us 79.4 divided by 100 meters, which is going to be 0.794 meters. So about 0.8 of a meter, which might be about maybe half the height of you. So if you imagine this tank wouldn't be that long or tall, but it would hold a lot of water. And that is just when we go to volume, we can get some very big numbers because we're multiplying numbers by themselves over and over again. So if I have a length of, let's say, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, that's going to be 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. So that's going to be about 1,000,000 centimeters cubed, or about 1,000 liters in this one tank. Okay, so there's 2 problems for you to do on the units of volume. On page 135, do problems 2 and 3. I also have this in the assignment. In the assignment, what I'm doing is I'm posting the photos from the workbook if people don't have their workbook with them. So if you have your workbook, you can work out of your workbook. If not, the photos are there for you. Have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you all on Wednesday.